Welcome to the second month of What I Played. This month I want to start off by recapping things I talked about last month and talking about whether I made any significant progress or not. I also just want to make an addendum to something I did in last month's video, because it affects this one as well. My capture card has stopped working, so getting footage of any console games, which would have been perfectly easy, is now completely impossible, which is a bit of a pisser. As such, I'm changing the trailer rule, and instead of including trailers, I'm going to use footage from a playthrough from YouTube. I will link all those videos in the description, and there will be a note on screen at all times if I am not using my own footage. Hope that's alright with everyone, just thought it was worth mentioning. Also, if I sound a bit different in today's video, I've just come back from a festival where I did a lot of drinking and screaming, and it was great, but my throat's a bit sore. To remind you of the rules, something is likely going to be mentioned if I saw the end credits, played it for more than 3-ish hours, or it just left a really strong impression on me for some reason. For about a week in July, my girlfriend and I went away for our anniversary. This meant that I spent a good long while playing games on the Switch, which I'm fast becoming quite fond of. I completed a great many side quests in this game while sprawled out on the sofa, and even made some progress on the main quest. I've just completed the Lordless Islands mission and collected a lot of wisps. It really has a Skyrim Breath of the Wild quality for me, where I find it hard to stop playing because it really doesn't take that long to do, just one more little job, and oh, now it's tomorrow. This one I am hoping to complete 100%, like do all the side quests, finish off the Pokédex. I think that'll be really cool, but I'll see what happens. Either way, I'll report back next month about my experiences. Before I say anything about Super Mario Sunshine, I am very afraid that this game is bugged. I cannot complete Rico Harbor because apparently it's supposed to play a cutscene of Shadow Mario at a certain point. I'll try and put it on screen now, but it just hasn't. And I've now passed 30 stars, and I'm at like 40, I think, and I just can't get the flood module that I need for the return of Goopa Blooper Star. So if anyone knows how to solve that, or if I just have to keep playing, or if I just have to restart the game, I would be very grateful for that information. That being said, I am still having fun with it. It's really interesting because it seems like a lot of stars in this game take longer to get than many of the stars in Mario 64. I feel like I spend a lot more time exploring any given level than I did the levels in Mario 64, where some levels I'd spend a long while running back and forth across, like Cool Mountain. But then there's others where I just storm through them in an afternoon, like Wet Dry World. I have not had that experience with Mario Sunshine. I have found that the way blue coins work and that sort of thing, I've spent a lot more time really exploring these worlds or levels. Chernobylite is a game that I've largely stalled out on. I nearly put it in last month's video because I'd started it again. It was my second time trying to play it, and I assumed I'd play more of it this month and talk about it here, but I just kind of didn't. It's just not grabbing me. Like, I played 3 hours of it, so it's going in the video, but it's a game about surviving in a fictional post-Chernobyl Ukraine where the reactor explosion generated a bunch of, like, stuff called Chernobylite that's used to power a teleporter. I'm doing this from memory because my script just says it's a game about surviving a fictional post-Chernobyl Ukraine where the reactor explosion generated a bunch of... And this is why we proofread things. But, like, yeah, it's there's this fictional resource called Chernobylite, and you're building a team to go and explore the Chernobyl reactor again, and you're trying to solve the mystery of what happened to your wife, Tatiana. I've been playing the game in the original Russian version. I think that's the right way to do it. The vocal performances are really good. The story is intriguing. The writing is great. The atmosphere is fantastic. And the structure and mechanics are almost exactly what I wanted from Fallout 4. If that wasn't going to be a proper Fallout game like Fallout New Vegas, I was okay with that because I thought I'd get this sort of expedition type structure where you go out on an expedition, get a bunch of stuff, come back to base, and build up a home base, which is how Chernobylite works. That wasn't how I ended up playing Fallout 4, but it is the structure of Chernobylite, and I thought I'd absolutely love it, but I just can't seem to get into it, and it's driving me crazy that I can't elaborate why. I think I'm just going to say that I gave this game a shot and it wasn't for me. Like, I played it, I'm done. But it is good. It's very slow-paced, it's very atmospheric, and there's a lot of just crawling through the grass, really, really hoping that that guy over there did not see you, because you've not got many bullets and your gun's a bit shit. Of course, none of this is to say that you shouldn't play it. If this sounds like it would interest you, definitely give it a go. It's by all marks of quality, excellent. Like, it's a very high quality game. It just didn't click for me for some reason, and I can't elaborate why, I'm afraid.
Out there's a world outside of Yonkers, way out there beyond this hick town, Barnaby. There's a slick town, Barnaby, out there, full of shine and full of sparkle. Close your eyes and see it glisten, Barnaby. Listen, Barnaby. Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out.
Elite Dangerous. This is a big one, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. Elite Dangerous is a proper time sink game. I only played it at the very start of this month, but I did play like a full 25 hours of it at the start of this month, which isn't a lot when compared to my full playtime of 100, and is absolutely nothing when compared to the hours that some people have in it, like 3,000, but it was it was a fairly hefty presence in my life for a few days, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Elite Dangerous is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the games I wanted to make a proper video on while I was still trying to convince myself I'd get back to writing essays, but I just don't think it's going to happen, which I'm quite sad about, because I had a lot of fun making a near enough shot-for-shot recreation of the opening of WALL-E that I was going to use as the opening for the video, but, you know, it is what it is. Anyhow, Elite Dangerous is one of those games that you kind of have to be a specific type of person to really get into. It's very slow paced at first, and it can take some time to really get to grips with the loops and systems that are at play. For this kind of stint, I grabbed the Horizons DLC to start running around on the ground, and I am really glad that I did. It's got mixed reviews on Steam, and I can totally see why. On launch, it was pretty bereft of content, and it's still not great for performance, like it lags out a lot. It's not well optimized, but I've still had a really good time going in on planet deployments for the conflict zones and doing delivery missions where I have to just get out and go and talk to a guy, generally getting more immersed in the galaxy. It's really cool to be able to get out of my ship and look at this big ship. It's so cool. All of that's not to mention the fact that at the moment in the game there is an ongoing war with the alien race, the Thargoids, which is really cool to see playing out in essentially real time. Being part of the community as all these discoveries are coming out is really so exciting, and it's one of the things I think live service games should be doing more and more of.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I played a lot of Ratchet and Clank this month. To start off with, I finished off Chernobyl and did some gold bolt hunting in the first game on the Vita. No doubt I'll go back and do all the little optional challenges as well. I kind of want to get all the trophies in that, seeing as it's on the go. Having done that, I started off on Ratchet and Clank 2. I only played the first few levels, but I've rescued Clank, and that feels like enough of a slice to at least talk about it so far. It is really surprising how much more modern the game feels than Ratchet 1. I mean, basically all of the future staples of the franchise, such as strafing, the way weapons upgrade, health upgrading through experience rather than the nanotech machine, and Ratchet's new voice actor, all first appear in Ratchet and Clank 2. In the Vita version, the touchpad on the back acts as the L2 and R2 buttons, which has taken a bit of getting used to, and really clearly isn't the ideal way to play, but it's definitely serviceable enough to enjoy. The story so far is interesting and fun, with seemingly even more cutting jabs at the horrors of capitalism than the first game had. This one feels more edgy without being angsty, if that makes sense. Ratchet from the first game had a nastiness to him at times, but here it feels like he's a good guy who's just cynical and biting about the world around him, which works well as a consistent character who has undergone some progression. It also feels like the game should be a lot more forgiving than the first game because of how health upgrades. It upgrades a lot faster than in the first game, where you would get the nanotech upgrades like 2/3 of the way through the game. But it seems like the enemies might be a little more aggressive to counter this, and there's definitely more of them. I have heard a lot of praise for this game from the Ratchet & Clank community, and I expected it to be good, but also to not hold up as well as many people had said it does. But so far, it really seems like I was wrong on this one. I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth more into this game because I have had so much fun with it so far. It's a really worthy successor to one of my favourite childhood classics. This was also the month that I picked up the entire Ratchet & Clank Future trilogy. I haven't yet got into the Nexus. I want to get into the Nexus. Because, yeah. Tools of Destruction is one of the games that I played a lot when I was younger, and the last time I played through it was probably about 8 years ago. This time around I beat it in 3 play sessions, and while my memory of it was fairly hazy overall, chunks of it were absolutely crystal clear, like the opening set piece in Metropolis, bouncing around the asteroids to get Leviathan souls before meeting Talwyn, running Kronk and Zephyr's gauntlet, and the cutscene where Clank gets smacked by a boxing glove, to name just a few. The game feels amazing to play, I mean to the extent of still feeling like a brand new game almost. A few things date it, like the slightly fuzzy resolution on the models and the large amount of bloom put on things, which was quite common in the early PS3 generation, but has since, thankfully, faded away. It runs at 60 FPS, and mechanically it's as slick as an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. The game makes an effort to encourage strategic weapon choices, which is something the series always tries to do, but also always kind of struggles with. Here, it feels like they struggle with it a bit less. One of the last enemies you meet, you've got to use this net to ensnare them, to capture them. And you've got things like the Tesla coil, which is really good for crowd control on smaller enemies. So it's got more of it than some of the earlier games do, but it's still not great. It is fun when it does work though, and I really hope this is something the series can get the hang of in the future, because to this date, no game has really got it. The main criticism I have of the Future Saga though is the health system. You see, while the health upgrades with experience, like in Ratchet & Clank 2, you no longer have segments, but rather a health bar. That alone is nothing of note, but it's how damage works that perplexes me. If any devs who worked on the Future Saga want to get in touch and talk to me about the health systems in these games, I would be genuinely fascinated. I would adore that. Please email me. However, my armchair diagnosis of this is that either damage is percentage based, so it doesn't matter if I've got 20 HP or 200 HP, I still go down in 4 hits all the same, or damage is percentage based, but enemies have some kind of damage scaling, so later game enemies do more damage. And that's great, that's groovy, but the way it's balanced, I found that I was upgrading my health loads, but I was still getting absolutely stomped, especially in the back half of the game. And I don't know exactly how it fits together, but it just doesn't feel balanced quite right. See, I told you I played a lot of Ratchet & Clank this month. Fortunately, this should be the last of it. Ratchet & Clank Quest for Booty is the second, or 1.5, depending on how you count it, installment in the Future Saga. It's a short intermediary slice between the main 2 entries, Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time. Minor spoilers for some 15-year-old games here, but at the end of Tools of Destruction, Clank is kidnapped by the Zoni, a mythical race of cute little robots who seem to think he's a god of some kind, which is a plot decision of all time. I'm led to believe that there was some sort of shenanigans with Sony which led to the creation of this game, and that it wasn't originally planned for by Insomniac, which explains why it feels sort of cobbled together. For example, if you go into the water on Hulafar Island, you may notice that you can still use Clank's Hydro Pack feature, despite not having Clank, and him only being in like 1.5 cutscenes in the game. The main reason I had to play this is because it's one of the few games I actually have nostalgia for. As a general rule, I'm pretty immune to nostalgia. I pride myself on this fact. I like to look back on happy childhood memories, but also recognise when the media I consumed really wasn't actually all that good, and I'm okay with that. This one, however, seems to have cracked that for me, because next to Ratchet 1, it's the game I remember the best, because basically every time I went to my grandparents during the school holidays, I would do a playthrough of it on their PS3. Why they had it on their PS3, I have no idea. I think they just owned it to watch Blu-rays, but anyhow, it means the game is kind of eternally linked with the feeling of a school holiday for me. Even putting aside nostalgia, I have a real soft spot for tropical settings and pirates. So while Ghost Pirates is really jumping the shark as a plot beat, I can't deny that I actually kind of love it. The gameplay is largely identical to that of Tools of Destruction, though it's got far fewer weapons and your health upgrades far less because the game is 2 to 3 hours long. In fact, it's so short it would really probably have worked better as an inbuilt epilogue for Tools or an inbuilt prologue for A Crack in Time. A few other things I noticed were that the frame rate seemed to struggle a little in a couple of the large battle scenes, which Tools never seemed to have a problem with, and playing through the game on hard mode made it frustratingly difficult in a couple of sections. This is actually where my main complaints about percentage-based damage came from, but they did apply to the previous game played on standard difficulty as well. I also noticed that in some of the cutscenes the audio started playing a little bit late, meaning it was out of sync with everything else, which is a weird bug. Neferus being introduced at the end is a cool twist, but he's immediately undermined by being played for a joke, in this case falling down the stairs. They don't give him any breathing room as a genuine threat, which he could have seemed even if in A Crack in Time they made him silly again. As much as I had fun with this game, if you're going through the Ratchet Clank series, it's probably safe to just leave this one be. I mean, I'm glad to have it on my shelf because it is a nostalgic game for me, but to the average player, it won't be worth the asking price. Even secondhand, it's still going at essentially MSRP, which is only £12, but considering I got Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time for a combined £8, it's probably not worth it. There really isn't much to say about this one. Mario Kart 8 is fun. I completed the 100cc races in the span of an afternoon, including the DLC ones, and now I am getting my ass stomped by the 150cc races. It was also the standout game of the holiday with my girlfriend, as we did a tournament one day, and after a while, she was thrashing me so hard that I started candy-capping her to try and give myself a shot at winning. Eventually, she was playing on the World Tour tracks, which she didn't know, with a kart and character she wasn't used to, using tilt controls, and she still managed to beat me by 2 points in spite of all that. I just stared at the screen, jaw hanging open in disbelief, while she laughed till tears ran down her face. I know hearing gaming anecdotes from other people can be like, I guess you had to be there situation, and yeah, you probably did. But it was a moment of bonding for the two of us over a silly little game, and seeing as these videos are about my experiences with silly little games, it felt worth mentioning. I considered not including Spiritpharah in this video because I've played through it before, but I did play a chunk of it this month, and that means I get to talk about it, so I will. Spiritpharah is a lovely little cozy game about maintaining a boat as you ferry spirits around and help them achieve their final requests before they pass on to the next life. It's one of my favourite games of all time, and I've been casually replaying it on the Switch. It paired quite well with starting to get into Animal Crossing, which I haven't really mentioned in this video, but will likely be in next month's one. Of the two, I definitely think Spiritpharah is better for the beautiful story it tells and the absolutely astonishing art style. I won't say much more about it because of the games I played this month, this is one of the smallest. It's like that and Chernobyl. But having 100% completed Spiritpharah before, I will take any opportunity to recommend the game. So please go play Spiritpharah. At the end of last month, I said I wanted to play more of the Outer Wilds, and then I didn't get a chance to because I spent half the month away from my PC. Hopefully next month I can get back into it because it really is very, very good. However, it's worth noting that when I say here are the games I'd like to play next month, there is no guarantee I actually will. So, Outer Wilds. I've had Psychonauts sitting in my library for a while, and I think I'd like to sit down and give that a proper go. I mean, I've played a couple of hours of it, but, really ought to sit down with it properly. I'll definitely keep playing Animal Crossing, probably keep playing Elite and Sea of Thieves. Those are my ongoing games at the moment. All of the games in this video that I mentioned, I haven't actually finished, so I'm probably going to keep playing these. I was looking at maybe playing something from the Dark Souls series or the Subnautica games, because they're some of my favourites, and I haven't really played through them in a while. Although I've also been... I've just picked up Dragon Age Origins, which I would like to play through, so maybe you'll be seeing that next month. I would also like to play the Metroid Prime Remaster, which I picked up while on holiday. And the original is one of those games that I've managed to completely avoid learning anything about, despite it being a classic, and so I was surprised when the remake came out that basically no one was talking about it, so I'd like to give that a go soon, although I might have to finish out some of my many other ongoing games first. I think The Outer Wilds is top of that list, with a couple of the Switch games up there as well. So that's what I've been playing this month. If you... Yeah, tell me what you guys have been playing in the comments, you know, farming engagement and stuff. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be appreciated, but also, you know, who cares? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a month's time.